Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we looked at how to set up our problem so that we can use our trigonometry to find the length of a side in a right triangle. And the first thing we said was super important is that we make sure our calculator is in degree mode. So since the last video, I had closed my calculator and I opened it back up. So I am going to make sure that it's still in degree mode, which since I closed it, it's not going to be. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to click on mode. I'm going to arrow down and then over to degree and hit enter. And now I can see degree is highlighted. I'm going to hit second and the mode button again to quit back to my main screen. Again, we have to make sure every single time that we are in degree mode. Remember our 4 steps to solving for a missing side when you have a right triangle is to label your opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse in relation to your acute angle that we know. Circle the side we know and the side we want to find so that we can figure out which trig function we're going to use. And then we're going to set up the function and turn it into a proportion by putting the trig side over 1 so that we can cross multiply to solve. Okay? So let's look at these practice problems. Again, the first thing we want to do is locate the acute angle. So I've got 90. I don't know this angle. I could find it, but I don't have to because I see an acute angle right here. So that means this angle A is where I am standing. The first side I always label is what my right angle points to. That is my hypotenuse. And then if I put my pen down where my smiley face is and I highlight over to the right angle, that highlights the adjacent side. And the one as far away from that smiley as you can possibly get, that is my opposite side. Okay, I'm going to use these 3 sides to look at SO, CA, TOA to figure out if I want to use sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay, so I am going to say, what side do I know? I know the adjacent side is 7, and I know the opposite side is x. The opposite side is x. Okay, so which trig function am I going to use? I am going to use tangent. Okay, so if I'm using tangent, I'm going to write, that is my, I've labeled, I've circled, I'm going to now set up so that I can solve. Tangent of the angle, which is 36 degrees, is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. The opposite is x. The adjacent is 7. Okay, then we are going to make it into a proportion so that we can cross multiply to solve by putting the left side over 1. Okay, and then my last step is to just cross multiply and solve. So I'm going to multiply x times 1. I always start with the x. And that is going to equal the tangent of 36 times 7. And I usually try to write the trig function last. So instead of saying tangent of 36 times 7 when I write it, I'm going to do 7 times the tangent of 36. Okay? Now, last time I had to divide. If I scroll up, you can see that once I cross multiplied, I had x times the cosine of 32 equals 20. And I had to divide out that cosine of 32 so that I had just x equals and I could type this in the calculator. But this time, notice x is already all by itself. So I'm not going to have to do any dividing. I can put this straight in the calculator. 7 times the tangent, and notice it opened that parentheses for me. So I'm going to want to make sure that I put that seatbelt on and close it. 36. Close those parentheses. Okay, and when I hit enter, I can see that my value for x is 5.08. Remember, we're going 3 places, so if that's a 5, after that is a 7, so that's going to turn into a 6. So here is my answer. Okay, now notice we could have written this as tangent of 36 times 7, and if I'd have done that tangent, it opens that parentheses, I want to put that seatbelt on, times 7, I'm still going to get the correct answer. But the reason I like to write the number before I write the trig function is because sometimes we forget to put our seatbelt on, and we do tangent of 36 times 7. Notice I didn't put my seatbelt on this time. And watch what happens. I got the wrong answer. I got in an accident, right? I should have had my seatbelt on. So again, that's another reason you always want to put that seatbelt on, because sometimes it is going to make a difference. Okay, now if I had put that number first 7 times the tangent of 36 and I forgot my seatbelt, I'm back to that correct answer. So out of these 4 times that I did this, I got the wrong answer only 1 time, but that's enough for me to go, you know what? Even though only 1 time I got the wrong answer, I'm going to put that seatbelt on every time so that I make sure I get the right answer every single time. Okay, let's look at number 2. When I look at number 2, I'm going to start with the same process. I'm going to first find that acute angle. So I've got 90, and then here's my 63. So this is where I'm going to be basing my labels from. There's my smiley face. First thing I start with is always the hypotenuse. Then I put my pen down on the angle where the smiley face is and highlight to the right angle, because that's the adjacent side. And then the one the furthest away, all the way across, as far away as you can possibly get from the smiley face, is the opposite side. Okay? And then we're going to use our so, ka, toa to figure out which trig function we want to use. I'm going to circle the side that I know how long it is. So that's going to be the 12. I know that the opposite side is 12. And then what I'm trying to find the hypotenuse, because that's where my x is. So I circled the opposite, check mark, check mark. I circled the hypotenuse, check mark, check mark. So now I can see which trig function, sine, cosine, or tangent, has 2 check marks. It's going to be sine. So I know that's the trig function I want to set up. So it's going to be the sine of the angle. Sine of the angle, my angle is 63, is going to equal the opposite over the hypotenuse. My opposite is 12. My hypotenuse is x. Okay, so then we want to take that trig function and make it into a proportion by putting the trig function over 1, because now I can cross multiply this and solve. I can do x times the sine of 63 and 12 times 1. So x times the sine of 63 equals 12 times 1, that's just 12. Okay, so notice here, after I did my cross multiplying, I had my x equals, and I was ready to go to the calculator. But here I don't have x equals, I have x times. So I need to untimes, right? I need to unmultiply, which means I need to divide both sides by what's being multiplied to x, which is the sine of 63. I'm going to divide that on both sides. Okay, so x, these two both cancel. I just have an x left on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I have 12 divided by the sine of 63. I can put that in my calculator. 12 divided by the sine of 63. Again, notice it opened that parenthesis, so I want to put that seatbelt on. Even though I might not need it, I'm going to close it because I saw up here that I could get in an accident and get the wrong answer, and definitely don't want that. When I hit enter, I get 13.467, and then I look after the 7, I see a 9, so that means I want to bump that 7 to an 8. So 468. 468 is my answer for this problem. And again, remember when we put this in the calculator, we divided by the sine of 63 and we closed that parentheses. Okay? All right, in the next video, we'll go ahead and come down here and look at least 3 and 4, and we'll see if we have time to fit 5 in the next video. If not, we'll put that in a 4th one. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.